I've spoken in general about disasters, natural and man made, but I've never spoken about floods. Hello, everyone. This is Lisa from World Wheelchair Warriors, and we talk about everything about wheelchairs from A to Z. And so, yes, we're talking about you who use a wheelchair, manual or power. And we're talking about floods today because here in the northern section of the world, we are in winter going into spring. And that's usually when our rivers start to overflow with the melted ice. And other parts of the United States, rains start to come. California already had their big floods after the fires, which was even worse. It was just mud everywhere. So it's like, how do you prepare for something like that as a wheelchair user? We don't stop to think, oh, I'm going to plan for a flood today. But we should. And, when I talk about man made and natural made disasters, it's important to, I think, prepare for all of them in a package. But the one that's kind of approaching us now is our floods because of the winter going into spring. And that's usually, if you live in a flood area, my hope is you already know what to do. If you don't, here goes some tips. First of all, have that backpack ready with really important things that you really need to take, whether it's batteries or medications or medicine that you would need if you had to leave the home quickly. So, and your family. If it's just you, then it's easier to plan. But if it's with your family, then plan with everybody and have a couple of backpacks ready just to grab and go. Sometimes the floods can be very devastating, like in Kansas and other places we've noticed here in the United States. New Orleans can have some pretty bad floods, Florida. So, it's just a repetitive thing. But right now, these floods are pretty bad. So, and we've seen those floods happen, hurricanes, tornadoes, especially tornadoes, and floods happen along with tornadoes. So the invitation is for you to prepare before it happens, and to be aware. The governor here in Wisconsin has a special week for floods, flood preparedness. And he wrote a proclamation, which I find interesting because this could be an invitation for your town, for your mayor, for your governor to write something like this. So the proclamation reads the following. Whereas flooding is one of the most frequent occurring natural disasters in Wisconsin and across the United States, claiming the lives of 181 Americans in 2024, according to the data from the National Weather Service, and whereas flooding has affected a great number of Wisconsinites or Wisconsin municipalities, increased damage costs, whereas, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but whereas according to the National Weather Service, as little as a foot of rushing water can sweep a vehicle off the road, whereas it is essential for all Wisconsinites to evaluate the risk of flooding in their communities, whereas Wisconsin Emergency Management's Ready Wisconsin campaign provides critically important information to citizens and offers communities across the state the tools they need to prepare before, during, and after flooding events. Whereas this week, and the week is, let me see, the date of February 24th to the 28th is going to be that special week in which mailings will go out and emails and things like that. So whereas this week the state of Wisconsin joins Wisconsin Emergency Management and the National Weather Service in working to raise public awareness of the importance of planning and preparing for the risks associated with flooding. Now, for us in wheelchairs, we're in trouble. Manual wheelchairs are a little bit lighter, and they can sometimes get through some lower inches of water. However, power wheelchairs are in trouble because we're not waterproof, and we're not even water resistant. So we really have to be careful with flooding. If we know floods are coming or happening in our area, it's best for us to go to higher ground or to go to a home where flooding doesn't exist. So here in Wisconsin, we're pretty wet. We have lakes and we have rivers that overflow, and our water systems in the city back up, and we end up with some pretty nasty flooding. So we do have a lake, and we try to steer, the flood waters towards the lake of Wisconsin, but we have to do a lot together to make sure we're safe. 181 Americans per year, 181 Americans in 2024 perished. So, I think that it's important for us to really take this seriously and say, okay, I live in XYZ place and it does flood, or I'm just going to really be more aware of possible flooding in my area or my building or my house, and I'm going to prepare, on purpose. I'm going to get those backpacks together and put water and whatever I'm going to need for just putting on my back and leaving, because it's not worth sticking around to watch the flood happen and for you to get stuck. So one of the things we can do here in the United States is to sign up with either the Red Cross or the fire department and say, hey, I'm a person in a wheelchair. I live in XYZ zip code, and I would appreciate some help, some awareness of someone that I live in this place, and in case there's a flooding or a fire, that someone would come to my aid, that they know that I live in XYZ building. I really don't want to get stuck, and I feel like I would need help, or I'd appreciate help if, flooding does happen, so sign up. They do take names of people and are aware, and they have a running list of people that they know they have to go to their aid because they have some type of disability. Not only wheelchair users, but other people. So it helps for them to know that in their neighborhood, their area, that they have XYZ people with disabilities that need to be helped, because they don't have family nearby, and they don't have friends nearby, so they need to be picked up and taken to a safer place. So that is one thing you can do. Talk to your fire department or to your Red Cross and say, hey, I live in XYZ place, and especially in the spring and the summer, I don't want to get caught in a flood or a fire. So I need that extra support. So not only the backpack, but informing someone of primary rescuers that you are in XYZ place. But I think it's worth it. You're going to see emails, you're going to see mailings possibly in your mailbox between the days of February 24th and the 28th of this year. So they will celebrate Wisconsin Flood Safety Awareness Week. So you're going to see some commercials and other things going through. And that'll be a good reminder for you to check and see what you have done to prepare. So throughout the state of Wisconsin, I commend this observance to all our state's residents. So this is the governor who signed this document. It's very well done. And thank you, Governor Evers. And so other states, have their own dedications to fire prevention flooding and other things. So I just want to put that out there. Anywhere in the world in which you know that XYZ part of the year has a potential for flooding, that you somehow prepare to go to higher ground and get yourself to a safer place as a wheelchair user, especially those with power wheelchairs. Our chairs can't get wet. They're not waterproof. They're not water resistant, unfortunately. Maybe someday, but right now they're not. So we really have to be super prepared to stay away from flooding. So we had a pipe issue here in the building, and it was on my side. The weirdest thing was the rooms next to me were absolutely flooded with several inches of water, and around my room there was not a drop of water. They came in to rescue me, and I was high and dry. I have no idea how that happened. I was high and dry, no problem. They got me out of my room, of course, but but the rooms next to me were absolutely, totally flooded. So talk about providence. But it's important to be ready and to know when the time is to go and to get out of danger. So I just wanted to make this video dedicated to flooding, and for you all to think about, wherever you live in Iceland or the United States or Canada or, other places that flood, that you can say, I am prepared for the possibility of flooding in my area, and I know what to do. So put your notes down below on what you think is the best thing for you to do. Do that backpack and first aid kit and water and whatever you think you need to put in there, medications, So put down your ideas because everyone is a little different, and those backpacks need to be full of what you need the most if you had to flee. So this is an important announcement. And I think it's important to talk about it for wheelchair users. So put down your ideas if you've survived this far in the video, and share your ideas with others so we can all be safe this spring. Feel free to boop the like button, as a friend of mine says. Thank you, Nate. And subscribe if you want other videos for you to know when my next video comes out, because I have a long line already on the schedule. So subscribe, and I will certainly see you in my next video.